Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Ditch the Struggle. I'm thrilled to be able to share an interview with today. I promise interviews. I've been working on getting interviews together, and this will be the first one I think you guys hear. And it is with Sue Ruhe. And why I'm excited is that she helps create this podcast, actually. She does a lot, basically everything behind the scenes for me. And she has so much to share. Our conversation is so exciting. It's just like it goes into all these interesting tangents. So let me just read you her little bio and then I'll top line what we talk about and then we'll dive right in. So Sue Ruhe is a solopreneur who holds many skills and talents. She is a registered massage therapist for 16 years, specializing in myofascial release therapy, as well as a podcast host and editor. Her evolution, expansion, and growth within the online space has exceeded even her own expectations, and she's just getting started. When she's not working, Sue enjoys golfing with her family and focusing on healthy practices and cooking. And in our conversation today, we talk about changing career paths. We talk about car accidents. We talk about psoas muscles. We talk about your body because Sue knows so much about the body and the mind-body connection. We even dive into social media and disconnecting from what no longer serves you. So let's jump into the conversation and the interview. I hope you guys love it. Hi, and welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am really thrilled to have one of my favorite humans on this show, which is Sue Ruhe. And she is a myofascial release therapist. She is a mom. She is a supporter of all humans. And she is also a podcast producer. She is the lovely woman that I sometimes talk to when I'm recording and give messages and notes to who creates this podcast. She edits for me. She produces it. She makes it all come together. So Sue, welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's so nice to be on this side of the microphone and actually have a microphone in front of me. And you make it easy to edit your show because you speak very well and you're just always precise. And it's rare to find a podcaster. As I say, you're not new anymore to me in my mind, but it's a challenge sometimes to jump on a mic and talk by yourself in your office. And you just do such a good job. So
Yes, everyone needs to find a Sue if you're thinking about doing a podcast because you do need to have someone in your corner. And we're going to talk about that because you really are a supporter of all humans. And that is really one of the reasons that I went to you when I was creating my podcast. We'll talk more about that. But first, why don't you just give me and our audience a little bit of a background of who you are and your career? Because it has been interesting. And why I'm very excited for today is that there's a lot I don't know about you.
I'm not sure where to start. So I will try to summarize as best as possible because I'm just over the age of 40, which seems insane to me. I feel like I'm still 25 in my body, in my heart, and just with how my career has evolved, I've just done so much and have gone through a lot. So I grew up in Niagara on the Canadian side. I had an amazing childhood and had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. I just knew that I didn't want to live in Niagara anymore. So I applied to universities and colleges all over Ontario, and I landed in London, Ontario, and was accepted to Western University to become a math teacher.
Really? See, I did not know this. How is it that you're a math? I mean, I've never questioned your math skills, but this is like not something I knew.
I was really good at math. And which is so funny. And again, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I received an entrance scholarship. I was like, oh, it's 2 hours away. It's not too far, but far enough that I don't live at home. So I moved. Was homesick the whole first week. Crazy story about that. My roommate, who I never had never met before until that first day in residence. We had those flip phones. It was back in like
Oh, yeah. I still
2001.
have my pink Nokia Crazer or whatever it is. Yeah, I've kept it as a relic.
Oh, I wish I did. Yeah, I was putting together my computer, my desktop computer back then, and I'm like
Yeah.
on my new desk trying to like put it all together, and I can see there's a mirror, and I can see her sitting on her bed, and she's on her phone, and she just starts crying. Best friend was killed in a motorcycle accident that night before.
Oh
And
my
this is like
God.
the first time I'm meeting this woman, and we're both like 18 years old, right? Like,
Oh my God.
anyways, it I mean, to this day, I still talk to her.
Yeah.
It definitely brought us close together in our university career, but, so I was alone my whole first week because she went back to her
Yeah.
hometown of course. But anyways, I'm homesick and just missing my home cooking, my mom's home cooking.
Yeah.
And, anyways, in the math program, I'm like one of 10 girls, females in the program. I hate it. So
You hated
obviously
it.
obviously I'm not
Okay.
going there. So I was taking business courses for fun. I took politics for fun. I wanted to like learn about the world, and I knew that taking business courses was just like a smart idea.
Yeah.
So anyways, I ended up graduating with a political science degree, and
Wow. I had no idea.
I know. I know. So I graduated just to graduate because I was like, I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I just get out, I have a job at a bank. I'm in a call center of all places, like selling credit cards to people and like not loving my life. But this was when like Google search was new and
Yeah. Yeah.
coming up massage therapy, massage therapy. Because I was
Really.
like, well, I know what I don't want to do. So I was looking up careers. I had never had a massage in my life. And
That is
sitting,
wild.
I'm sitting in this call center and I'm like, I can't get another loan because I have a bank loan that's still outstanding, but maybe I can apply for OSAP because I've been on my own for so long. OSAP is the government funded
Education program.
student loan. Yeah.
Mm.
And anyways, I looked it up and I was like, oh, I'm eligible. And I went through all of these things. I took this pre-course, like physiology pre-course, because I had no like biology background or anything like that. And anyways, the school that I wanted to go to was in London, like literally up the street. And I'm like,
You're
this is
kidding.
really weird. And I didn't
Did
even
you
tell
like London at that point?
um I did like London. I had made a whole bunch of friends here and I
Okay.
felt comfortable here. I lived
Mhm.
downtown, so
Okay.
I had a car, but you didn't really need one. And
Yeah.
like I felt at home. I couldn't imagine going back to Niagara at that point or like moving beyond. Like there was no destination, right?
Right.
The highest like ranked school for massage therapy in Ontario was in Toronto. It was Sutherland Chan.
Yep.
I
I know
think it
that.
still is.
Yeah, it's still going. Yep.
And I didn't want to move to Toronto.
Yeah.
I'd
Don't blame
always
you. Like I live in Toronto. I've lived here forever, and I mean, especially now, it's not the city it was. So yeah.
and I always liked visiting,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
love visiting Toronto, but just to live there just felt too big. I'm
Yeah.
not I like the medium sized
Mhm. Mhm.
city. Here we are at 400,000 people in London,
Yeah.
So
Nice size.
so anyways, I was like, how is this school down the street? So it was ranked number 2. I was like, okay. So go through all the application process, get accepted. I didn't even tell my parents until it was my birthday. I was driving home for my birthday, December 2nd. This is a story I don't think I've ever told. It's like kind of snowing, and I'm
Mhm.
like gonna tell my parents that this is my next career move. And I was so scared because I
You're
didn't.
enrolled at this point? Like, were you actually enrolled?
Yep, I was enrolled. I got the
Okay.
OPAB, I got the
Yep.
loan
Mhm.
approval, and I was starting in January. So I was
Gosh.
the January class of '06.
Okay.
So it was December 2nd, 2005. I'm on my phone, my flip phone again with my friend. And he was like, don't go. Like, it's snowing. Like, I was like, what? Am I going to get in an accident on my birthday?
Oh no.
Literally, as soon as I get on the highway, I slid on black ice, hit the median, went across 3 lanes of traffic on the 401 into a snowbank, seeing all these other cars doing it at the same time as me. So, like, luckily, cars were and trucks were going slow.
Oh
Anyways,
my God.
I'm like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this, right? Like, can you imagine if I like thought that that was anyway?
Yeah.
I didn't make it home. Went home the following weekend, told my parents. My dad was thrilled. He was like, I'm so
Really?
happy you're gonna go for a trade. He was like,
Yeah.
tool and die his whole life,
Yes. Yeah.
was just like get a skill. So all was well. I started in January, graduated in 2008, and then found myofascial release that same year. And it comes along with a big story of, my perspective on my body and how
Mm,
have started treating it better because of pretty big diagnosis. But I found myofascial release, and it was the gift that I needed to receive. And I've been doing it ever since, evolving the practice, like getting really deep into like women's abdominals and the psoas muscle and everything that encompasses that, like our
yeah.
emotions, our trauma, or even past lives. Like I have this one client that I love, and she always talks about her past lives with me. Like she gets the
Oh,
visions
cool.
on my table, and it's just like wild.
I'm here for it. I love it all. That yeah. I mean, we're on the same page here. Okay, I just need to back up before we really dive into myofascial release because I really want to help make sure people understand what it is. Were you okay from that accident? Was there like did you just
Oh,
walk away from it and then okay? Or was it actually was there a physical like
I
impairment?
did hurt my neck because I spun around and
Oh,
realized that like, oh, this is how whiplash happens.
yeah.
Good thing I'm
It's a real
good thing
thing.
I'm enrolled in the massage program next month so people can fix me.
Yeah.
But actually about that accident, so interesting. It's so interesting how things happen.
And
So I'm
accidents are always a sign to slow down in some way.
yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course I should have waited. I should have not driven when there
Yeah.
were snow drifts along the 401. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
maybe.
But I get my car parked. I'm facing traffic, and the police officer, who is a woman, thank
Mhm.
goodness.
Mhm.
I don't know. It just felt so good to have her.
Yeah. Comforted.
Yeah. So she's facing my car, and I get into her car. I'm all like disheveled, and I have to go and grab my papers or whatever, the registration for the car or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
I go out the ditch side and I climb through the passenger and I get it. And just as I'm getting back into that car, another car hits the median, the same patch of ice as me, spins around, T-bones my car. We're sitting in, I wish there were dash cams back then.
Yeah.
We're sitting there and it's like my car just explodes. And this guy, his last name was Marzouk. I will never forget him. He would drive every weekend from Windsor to Niagara to visit his family, and I had been driving every single weekend almost from London to Niagara. We were taking the same path, like
Did you
probably
find this out after?
every weekend. No, when we were sitting in the back of the
Oh my gosh, you're like, oh, having the conversation. Oh god.
so it was just wild. My dad ended up making money on that car because it ended up being his fault that demolished it, right? Like my car probably could have been fine, but then my dad was like, "Well, it's a write-off now and I'll get the money." So I was like, "There you go. You're welcome, Dad."
Yeah. Happy Christmas.
Now I don't have a car, but it doesn't matter. I was going to school and I was living downtown. I had a bicycle. That was fine. But to answer your question, yeah, I had whiplash,
Okay.
and I hadn't really, like, my whole life I was a competitive Highland dancer. I was always sort of like fit and kept in alignment and stretched, and I was on track, and I never really broke a bone or
Yeah.
hurt my body in any way. So it was just, I mean, of course, perfect timing that this happened right before I had, 40 people able to help fix me for months and months after.
I
So,
wonder if that was like part of the lesson there. It's just that, you were given a problem so that you could see that you could solve it. And
yeah.
like you were a part of that. I don't know.
I think everything happened so divinely, and when I look back and, when you're, like, in
Yeah,
situations where you're like, "Oh, I don't have a car anymore," like, you're
exactly.
looking at all of these
Yeah.
bad
Yep.
things,
Hmm.
but reflecting back, I'm like, "And that all happened for a reason."
I
And
love that though. If you can look back and it feels like the pieces fit together the way they should, even if it was really stressful or devastating.
yeah, yeah.
So cool. Okay, so
So
the myofascial release, like how did you specifically go down that path? Because most people are familiar with massage therapy.
mhm.
Tell me what's different about this technique.
The main difference is that it's hands-on treatment without oils or lotions. In
Okay.
fact, a requirement or I ask my clients to not put lotion on their bodies before they come for treatment. It's actually
Interesting.
yeah, it's actually best to just be, like, fresh out of the shower, throw some
Yeah.
clothes on, and come for a treatment.
Okay.
Um, because with oils and lotions, I'm not able to engage with the fascia and actually
Hmm.
stick into the fascia. Like, we are liquid beings.
Hmm.
And with myofascial release is sustained gentle pressure. So I could just have my hands like skin on skin,
Hmm.
right? And the longer I just wait here, the more my fascia is syncs and connects with your fascia. We are all just connective tissue.
Yes. And is that what fascia is? Like, is that how you would explain it? Connective tissue?
Connective tissue. Fascia is wrapped around every single cell in our body that connects to everything in our body.
Really? Every cell? I was thinking like
Every
every muscle, but I never really thought of it as every cell.
every cell. So
Yeah.
so of course, like muscle cells then wrapped
Yeah.
in fascia. It's
Yeah.
the glue that holds us
The
together.
glue. It's the glue. I like that. Okay. Then I can visualize that when you say it that way.
Mhm. So how I found it, another random air quotes, um, I was looking for a clinic to work for after I graduated, and I didn't wanna work for, like, the the gyms down the street where I
Yeah.
knew that they were gonna take 50% of my and
Mhm.
I'm just starting out, so that is kind of protocol, I guess, or was back then, is like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's where you start, and you see all
Yeah.
these massage addict places now, like,
They're
the
everywhere, and yeah, and they're 50 minutes, like 50, and then they have the 10-minute changeover and the new client, and there's also the Massage Addict, what's the other one? Hand and Stone. Hand and Stone is a
I
big
love
chain
them.
around here. Oh, yeah, they're a big one around here. Okay.
And just like you said, it's sort of like an
Yeah.
assembly line
Yep.
process.
Yep.
I can't imagine not getting paid what I'm worth, right?
Yeah.
Mm,
It's hard with that much money is going to I mean, there's obviously the overhead, they're doing the advertising, the
mhm,
PR,
mhm.
but there's a certain point where it doesn't feel good to know that that much money is leaving your pocket.
Yeah, and I didn't wanna work for a company or a clinic that was like that. I
Yeah.
wanted something a little bit more, sole proprietor, partnership type
Okay. Yeah.
style. So, I actually found an ad on Kijiji for
Kijiji, like Kijiji's dying, I think, because Facebook is taking over, but I'm still team Kijiji.
yeah, we still do Kijiji here,
Yeah.
and so this woman had posted that she was going on mat leave and she just needed someone to take over her clients. So I was gonna automatically get clients
Oh my
and then
gosh.
be able to bring and advertise myself,
Yeah.
bring in
Yeah.
more clients. And I would just have to give her a percentage of her clients. And that to
That's
me
fair.
makes perfect
Yeah.
sense,
That makes
right?
a lot of sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just as I was starting, it was like, okay, whatever. Anyway,
Wow.
she was a myofascial release therapist. And
Interesting.
the job interview, so funny. I call her and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I was about to take this ad down because I couldn't find anyone." And so the job interview was I go there to the clinic, which wasn't that far away. I would bus or ride my bike or whatever. Um, and I would massage her and she would massage me. And I remember walking from the bus stop to the clinic, and I was like, "Oh, my hip is, like, so pinchy."
Yeah.
And then she
And then she worked on
did
you?
her magic
Her
and took
magic?
away my pain immediately, and I
You're
was like,
kidding.
"Okay, sold."
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
And
do what she's doing. Yeah.
and feeling what she was doing, I was like, "What are you doing? This is
Really?
not something that we are taught in school." Like,
Okay.
and so then I was hired, and then because she, like, popped 3 days later, it was so funny. She was like,
Oh.
"Thank goodness." And then, that July, so that was May, and then July, I was in my first course in Toronto. I went and took a weekend course and,
Okay.
um, was just in a room with, I would say, 150 to 200, uh, physiotherapists and chiropractors. I was one of very few massage
Mm.
therapists in the room at the time. Again, this is back in
Yeah.
2008.
Okay.
It'll be very different now, but, yeah, I was just hooked. And I took the train that trip, and so I remember
Yeah.
being on the train being like, "This is it. I found it."
What are like, how does that feel when you know you have found it? You just said, like, "I found it." So many people are waiting for the "I found it" moment, and I don't even know if I've had the "I found it" moment. So I wanna hear what that feels like.
Well, it was very uncomfortable in my body,
Oh,
um, because you spend the whole weekend working on different parts of your body, learning different techniques that you go home totally lopsided and feeling just like, "My body needs to now correct itself somehow."
yeah.
But knowing feeling physically feeling that change at
Yeah.
the cellular level so quickly,
Yeah.
that is how I knew. And I think because I could physically feel it, that's what I was sold on. And I
Mm.
don't think I've ever felt that since in anything
Mm.
that
That's
I've
really powerful though, to have that feeling.
yeah. And
You know.
Sue back then was like, I just want to help people
Yeah.
I just want to take away pain. That's all I want to do. And I knew I could help people better than what we were all taught in school.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very limited what most people are exposed to. Is they might be exposed to, massage therapy, some physio, a few things. But why I loved hearing about this, and I know this is partly why we connected, is that I'm a huge believer in doing body work of some sort. You've got to find the things for you and techniques, but there's almost nothing I haven't done. And I do a physical body appointment with some practitioner pretty well every week. Like,
Mm.
I have to work a lot on my physical body for my pain management. I have some knee challenges that still come up and hip, and also for the anxiety that I've talked about, the physical release of it. Like, if I don't come at my body from a physical perspective and work on it, I'm completely effed up. And then I also have to work on it from more a spiritual angle, and the supplements, I do quite a few supplements. So I come from a very holistic place, but this is why I knew we were going to connect so well, because we understand how you have to work on your physical body. She's
I
like
just
just nodding away and she's like, "Yes."
they just had this like um you would ask the question, when do you know that you have something, or like when do you
Yeah.
know that this is it?
Yeah.
And just how you described your anxiety and all the work you have put in, all the
Mhm,
money you've spent on the
mhm, mhm,
care.
mhm.
One of the biggest ahas in my career was being able to eliminate or reduce,
Mhm.
pretty much eliminate that anxiety feeling in people's bodies. When I say that our emotions are stored in our psoas muscles, I mean it. And we hold so much in our abdominal
Yes. A
cage and
1,000%. Yeah.
thoracic cage that the fascia is actually strangling our psoas muscles, creating anxiety because that vagus nerve from our brain down to our gut is being strangled. And it's that mind gut connection that people
Mhm,
talk
mhm.
about. When I have been able to, like, release that in my clients and it, like, rarely comes back, I've
Yeah.
one of my very first interviews on my podcast years ago was interviewing my client that it was her body that I discovered this. And like, she's still like, she's my esthetician. Like she's,
Oh, yeah. I love that.
but that was another moment where I was like, I have something here.
Yeah.
If I can help reduce or eliminate anxiety in
Yes.
human bodies by just putting my hands on their stomach, what?
I know it's almost unbelievable, but because we've been taught to believe it's unbelievable. That's these kind of techniques can help. And what I really appreciate here is that we're talking about the nervous system, we're talking about the emotions, because so much of that anxiety is stored trauma. And I know I'm still working through, I still have a lot of stored trauma that for some reason I'm a very complicated onion. We're all onions, right? So I haven't gotten to all the layers, but I've come a long way. And that's why I love sharing this information
Yeah.
because every, what is one of my friends says, who's a Reiki healer, your cells are always listening. They are sometimes our cells, our body is the only witness to our pain. Often there's no one else in the room when these things happen to us, right? Anything happens to us, anything traumatic. So our bodies take it in and we don't always know how to process it. And we definitely don't live in a society where they give us the tools to process it.
No. And I love that you said that they're always listening. And to just add another layer on that onto the onion,
Mhm.
it's like I usually describe it as like a computer hard drive. Like everything that we have gone through or endured, like is embedded in our cells,
Yeah.
and it's just it stores it, right? So when you're talking about not getting down to like
Mhm.
your trauma and experiences, and I'm like pointing at myself, I'm like, me neither.
Yeah, you were. You were like, me too. Yeah. And
Uh,
that's what I actually want to hear from practitioners is that they still have work to do on themselves too, because it is so complicated. It's like you only can tackle so much at a time.
I often joke about how I'm so grateful that the psoas muscles are on the front of our bodies because in bed when I go to sleep, I'm usually engaged into my fascia on my abdomen, and that's what I mean. We could talk about how I pivoted in
Oh,
the
yeah, we will, because I love a pivot. You know me.
yeah,
And I hate to use that word, but can you
but
just,
I didn't have anyone working on me, so I
yeah,
had to work on
okay.
myself.
Okay.
So that was another man, you're really like hitting these like when I really know moments of my life.
Yeah, we're hitting some not golden miles, but some milestones. Um, can you just tell, just in case some of the audience also doesn't know, psoas muscles, I'm very familiar with mine, but where are they? Tell us where
Yes.
they are. And what are
Yes.
they all about? What do they represent?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough time.
Okay. Well, let's tell us where they are.
Okay, first, yeah, I'll just, anatomically describe them
Yeah.
best I can because we're not gonna be airing this video. I did not dress up.
No, we're both doing it very top knot casual today.
So if you look at your abdomen and see where your belly button is and where the tops of your hips are,
Yeah.
okay? So if you were to draw lines on a diagonal towards like the outside of your hips,
Hmm.
down the front, I usually describe it as, do you remember as a kid where you would take like the turkey wishbone and then you
Yep.
would like break it?
Yep.
So it's like picture the shape of a turkey wishbone
Okay.
is your psoas muscles, but they're deep, deep, deep
Yeah.
underneath your abdominal layers. So they actually attach to your spine, your lumbar spine on
Okay.
front, so along your belly button all the way down on and to your final thoracic vertebrae. So from T12
Yeah.
down to L5, that's where they originate. And then they come forward to the front of our hips, to the tops of our legs, to the tops of our
Yeah.
thighs.
Yeah.
They are like a hip flexor as well, like in the
Yeah.
same action. And so for someone who sits a lot, for
Yeah. Like me, I sit a lot in the day. Yeah.
most people do with their
Yeah.
jobs, right? Like
Yeah.
you are shortening that
Yeah.
and compressing that, like
Mhm.
those muscles and getting stuck there, right? Like if you think of the hose, right? The kink in the hose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so stretching your belly, stretching your hip
Yeah.
flexors are very, very important to do that kind of balancing of them. But that's basically anatomically, that's where they are.
Okay.
And, but they're obviously covered by layers of abdominal muscles as well. So when you're activating the fascia on top of abdominal muscles, you're going to reach, like energetically
Yeah.
all the fascia because it's all connected. So if I'm loosening the top layers, like the bottom layers are going to start to relax too
Right. That makes sense.
because it's
Yeah.
just like a layered reaction, right?
Would you say there's like, because all you're describing, I have a lot of tightness in those areas. I'm sure it's pretty common. Would you say there's like a common theme with people that have pain or discomfort in those psoas muscles?
Well, the thing is like our pain manifests in different areas that aren't actually on the muscles necessarily. So people
Okay.
with low back pain, with like hip pain at the sides,
Yeah.
like where our femurs are supposed to be rotated, like when it's stuck and not moving, we're gonna feel pain on the outer,
Yeah.
along the glutes. A lot of neck pain and jaw pain stem from tight psoas muscles because it's pulling down.
Right. And these are things we never think about. We never think about the referred pain and we just assume that it's local, that the pain where it is where the problem is.
And
That's
actually, it's the opposite.
okay. Tell us more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so where we're feeling pain isn't where it's coming from. That's just where that area is being stressed. So a
Okay.
lot of times if someone's like, "Oh, it's my right shoulder, it's my right shoulder." Well,
Yeah.
you've been overstretching your right shoulder because you think that stretching is gonna fix it, when really
Mhm.
you gotta get over on that left side, stretch the crap out of that one, leave this right one alone so that it can heal
Yeah,
and
it can do its
rest.
thing. Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
all about creating balance, right? So same
Yeah.
with the psoas, it's sort of like what's going on up in our shoulders is the same as what's going down on our hips, and they sort of work together. And I'm sure your audience and you're familiar with diaphragmatic breathing, like
Mhm. Mhm.
expand
Mhm.
our
Mhm.
abdomen and give those psoas like some space. Like we're stretching the fascia there. Like they need to get some room.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, you can notice, like, "Oh, my jaw's relaxing," when
Yeah.
I'm in meditation breathing very big, and or like, "Oh, my hips relaxed," or whatever like that. So, that in my experience, that's what
That's
I
what's going
see.
on.
Mhm.
And what would you say is the most common is there like a common thread or a common reason that people come to see you? Is it just like, "I'm in pain, help me, Sue," or is there something else?
Well, I don't advertise.
I love that.
That's a big thing for me. It's really hard for me to, like, share what I do.
Mhm.
So
Do you think
everything's
it's
been
harder for you to share what you do because it's hard for you to talk about it, or just like you're not interested in like putting it out there online?
hmm, I don't know. I've been fortunate enough to like, I worked in a clinic for years,
Mhm.
right? So, after I'd moved on from the mat leave, because she came back, obviously.
She did come back, okay.
She came back, she needed her room. I'm like, "Okay, fair enough."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I I went to a clinic that I was at for until 2022.
Oh, so a long
Um,
time.
yeah, so I was working with other RMTs in the building, and so it was a lot of referrals
Yeah. Word
that
of
we
mouth.
would
Word of
do,
mouth.
right? Yeah, I would be like, "Oh, Natalie does Thai massage. Okay, you need to go see
I love
her."
Thai massage.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I've only had it a couple times, but
This
that's
one does
pretty
hot
awesome.
stone. You go do
Yeah.
hot stone, right? And so, I was just really fortunate to have that, accessibility and
Okay.
in that relationship with those other therapists too, to be able to just, recommend. So, referral based is where I'm at.
And I do find that something kind of fascinating about you is that I I feel like people just find you. People find Sue. Is that true or am I making that up? Because I just feel like I found you and then I think you did some random, not random, but maybe one Instagram post about how you were creating podcasts for people and then I messaged you and I was like, "Sue, I think you do podcasts. Can you help me?" Like, but you didn't there was no big push. It was just like I found Sue.
Yeah, the 'cause now, I mean, your audience doesn't even know that, like, I totally pivoted and,
Yeah.
went virtual in lockdown, and then
Yeah.
I started learning the back end of podcasts, and then now I love doing that. I love
Mhm, mhm.
laying in bed and editing shows, and but it's like I can do that
Yeah,
and
and
treat clients. So, right now I'm in this weird spot.
so do you feel like you're still going to, because I'm kind of going through this, I have to talk about this because I'm just taking a break from Instagram right now, right? So
Yes.
I just like pause, like it's my account's there, but it was bumming me out, like just bumming me out. And the fact is, if I don't promote on Instagram, a lot of things like have less traffic to my website, I get less engagement, I'm having less podcast downloads, all the things. So there's a part of me that feels like I should be doing this, but at the same time, I'm feeling like zero inclination to be on Instagram right now. So I'm curiously challenging myself as to how I think I need to be building a business and promoting myself. And maybe there's other ways because we're told you have to be on social media and get 100 leads a day and blah, blah, blah. So I'm kind of fascinated by you because I feel like things come your way without you really pushing sometimes
Yep. Um,
because you're not on social media a lot right now. No.
no, and I feel the same way as you about social media. I don't like showing up and making videos. I don't
Yeah.
enjoy I'm the type that I'll just scroll and find something hilarious that's like relatable to my life and then I post it like
Yeah.
on a
Yeah. I
story.
can.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, bye. Like
Yeah.
and people find me through doing that because I think honestly, Alana, I think there are a lot of women that feel the same way as us in terms of uh, feeling that it's a bummer
It's a bummer.
sometimes.
And I'm gonna do a deep dive episode on this because I'm kind of fascinated by it because there's shifting happening. And there's a part of me that's like, screw it. If you tell me I have to be on social media to build a business, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna find a way to not do it that way. The podcast being something that I actually love doing that's organic, that doesn't feel forced, but it does feel anyway. So it's about finding your way. But listen, one of the Reiki healers that I go to, she has a 3-month waiting list and doesn't promote at all.
Mhm.
So she's just built everything word of mouth, and obviously she's amazing at what she does.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? Is, someone is going to come and be on my table one time and I'm going to reduce their
Mhm.
anxiety by like 90% after one treatment.
Yeah,
You're going to go
the
back.
results.
You're
You
going
are
to
gonna
tell
go.
you're going to tell
Yeah,
your best friend.
yeah.
So I actually have a few clients I'm like, don't tell anyone because no, because we're in a weird body time right now.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of people that I actually won't touch right now.
yeah.
And we're not going to get into that this episode,
Yeah,
but
but there is some strange things going on, and I think
Mhm.
people I think there's an interesting time too where there's some people that are super connected to their bodies, and then some of them, they're totally disconnected. Like, I've never seen people, or maybe I'm just seeing it, they're more disconnected than ever from their bodies. They don't trust their bodies, and now I'm in a place where, like, first of all, I've always had a belief that my body can heal itself, even though I freak out at things. I just recorded that episode when I got the really bad acid reflux, and I was like, that was definitely a test to believing that I was going to get through it because it was so scary. But I'm really just in a space where I believe that my body can heal. And I was also instilled with a belief from my mom that I have a very strong constitution. She used to actually say that to me all the time. You have a very strong constitution. So that was an amazing belief that I was instilled with from a kid. Now, I got some weird effed up beliefs, but that was a good one. And I like that one.
Yeah,
So I have
mom.
a very innate belief that I'm just going to power through and get through things
Mhm.
physically. But I don't know if a lot of people have that. And right now I'm just seeing, because we're living in a time of so much fear. So how can we connect back to our bodies? That's what I want to know.
Mm. I have a lot that I want to say about everything you just said,
Mhm.
but to answer your question, I think it actually is disconnecting
Mm,
all external things
yeah.
and sitting in silence with yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been asked a number of times, what's the number one thing you teach your clients?
Mm,
And the automatic answer is how to breathe.
mhm.
We're not even taught how to breathe properly.
No,
So,
yeah, and I definitely find myself like not breathing for like hours at a time or shallow breathing. You're basically, you're just trying to get through the day. And We are not taught, and we are not taught the power of breathing and the power of breath.
No, and we're seeing a lot of it now on the rise, a lot of facilitators, which is great.
Yeah.
But just like the belief that was instilled in you as a child, our body habits are the same. How did we hold ourselves when we were children? I know for myself, I was always um, holding in my tears. I was always holding in my breath. I
Yeah.
remember being very constipated as a child because I felt embarrassed to take a poop.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were
But
just you were just like,
but we trained our bodies back then well. So now as adults,
right.
we are recognizing that we need to learn how to breathe properly at a younger age so that it
Mhm.
becomes
You
a
do.
natural habit when we're older and something that I hope has stuck with my daughter, but she's very in tune with her body, compared
Amazing.
to what I was at 11.
Because she's 11, right? Yeah. And she's a super talented artist. I've seen some of her work. And it's like blows my mind. Blows my mind. Yeah. So where are you landing with your career right now? What does like a typical day for Sue look like? Because I know it's eclectic, which is also why I think we connect, is that we both have days that are like not the same and filled with different kinds of Zooms and meetings and in-person things.
And every day looks different.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll just touch on a few things that are kind of consistent and
Mhm.
then, some of the things that are fun that I get to do. Before I do that, email marketing.
Oh,
You received my email today,
I
didn't you?
did receive your email and I opened your email.
That is
Is that where
my
you're going
new
back to?
jam. I've
Yeah, you're
never
going
been
back to
here
it.
before. I've never been here.
It's I have so much to say about email marketing because I've been kind of ignoring my email list. Sorry to my email list. I love you all. And I hope I try and send valuable things. But email marketing was just massive. Like I'd say 5, 6 years ago. Who is that woman that does all the email? Jenna Kutcher. I think she's
Yeah.
like, she does everything email marketing. She's always like, your email marketing list is the most important thing. And then there's all these people who laugh about it. These like, it's just about Instagram. It's just about this and TikTok or whatever the hell it is. And I'm like, those platforms go away, guys. Like, and we've all seen them crash, but your email list is yours. You also need to have your own website with your own, like your own content. You have to own your own stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's a way for you to connect with your audience. And I'm also kind of I feel like we're twinning in many ways, like thinking, you know what, really going back to my email, like connecting with them more often.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in the industry, I guess, where
Mhm,
you would
mhm.
have email marketing in your face,
Yeah.
as like a business tactic, like
Mhm,
whereas
mhm.
not tactic, but
Yeah. Strategy.
a
Yeah.
strategy. And when I was a massage therapist, I didn't even have anything because I'm hands-on. I didn't even have a website, like everything. Like I don't even have time to lift up my phone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For like 6 to 8 hours a day. So now that I've pivoted and I'm only doing hands-on very part-time, and in this whole evolution of online for me, I've
Mhm,
always heard from the gurus, right?
mhm,
You know, just like you just said, your email list will live forever. Like these
mhm,
platforms will go away. And so I've
mhm.
always wanted to create an
Okay.
email list. And now I'm doing it because it feels fun to me. Like the one you received this
Okay.
morning was like, this was just my rant that I won't put on Facebook. I won't put on Instagram. I don't even have TikTok and I don't really care.
Yeah, I've never been on TikTok, but I
Uh,
watch TikTok videos on Instagram.
Me too. I'm that person. Yeah,
I'm that person. Yeah.
yeah, me too. So that's where I'm gonna
Okay.
focus, I think, in terms of advertising myself is building my email list. So because
Right.
have so many clients that they don't even know what I do. Like they thought I just like quit massage and like they still think that, some of them.
Yeah, no, and you haven't, and I think so it is
Yeah.
about finding the platform that you connect
Mhm.
with, and I always say that to people when they get really stressed out, and I'm doing more like business consulting about social media and things like that. You've got to find the platforms that you feel okay on. Like, I have a visceral reaction when I go on Facebook that I hate it so much. Like, I really and especially after this week, I'll have to share the story. Like, I hate Facebook so much, so I have a visceral reaction. So why would I
Yeah.
Go on a platform and be connected to that energy. I also can't be on Twitter. I think I went on Twitter when it first came out or whatever the hell it's called now. I can't be on it because it's just like a cesspool of negative energy and people just trying to talk over themselves. That's how it feels. Like it feels like, I talk about how I came from conflict and combat. So it feels like that energy when I'm on when I see Twitter.
Yeah.
Instagram I can tolerate for some reason, and LinkedIn I can actually tolerate. But tolerance is waning. So
Yeah.
back to the point of connecting to the platforms that you really feel like you can speak to your audience.
Yeah. And I like the emails. It's like they can unsubscribe. They don't want to.
Yeah, it's
You don't
opt
want to
in. Like
listen
you
to
can
me
opt
rant.
out. Yeah.
That
And
I'm not.
I have people that I follow that I love, and I do sometimes unsubscribe from their email list. Nothing personal, but I've just got either too many emails coming in,
Yeah.
or 2024 for me is a big year of actually disconnection. To your point, is that remember I said I was in too many group coachings last year. I was Sue actually was also running amazing, and you still run an amazing workspace to support entrepreneurs. I was like, I can't even be in this because I'm too connected to too many things right now. So
Yep.
2024 is be me paring down. So I've unsubscribed from some email lists. I love these people. I still follow them on Instagram, but right now I'm just going through that phase. And so I don't get upset when people unsubscribe from my mailing list because it's like, yeah, you do you. And it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. And I'm a big simple person, so when you said that it takes a long time, it actually takes me a little less time because I don't have to like source a photo or like make a Canva thing to
Yeah.
post with
Okay.
the writing because like I can just write.
That's true. Are you not fishing for animated gifs and all that stuff? No, yours are pretty simple, right? And that is part of the Sue brand, the simplicity of it. So you know what? I say lean into it. If I was, anyway, we're not talking about branding in this, but I appreciate what you're doing and the way you're doing it. I think it's interesting.
And it's a little bit safer for me. You know, I've gone through a few challenges with crazy internet people and I just like had it. So
I know that you have, and there's so many stories there. Maybe like I know we probably can't get into the whole thing, but you've definitely had challenges with
and I just
I
don't
don't know
want
what you
to
call it.
I
Like
don't wanna invite that in anymore, just so you're like, "Oh, I don't wanna be in a negative space."
yeah,
Like, that's how I feel too, so I love referrals because you have that immediate connection anyways,
yeah.
and, so what does my day look like?
Yeah. What does your day look like? That's what we wanted to know. Let's just
Today was amazing because I didn't have a to-do list that was a million miles long. So I did some house things. I finished editing my podcast for my show, which I usually try to put it out on Wednesdays,
okay.
but I totally missed my own deadline.
Okay. Happens. Happens,
Because
everyone.
editing my podcast doesn't make me any money, right? So it's kind of gone down to the bottom of the list because I service my podcast clients first, obviously.
What's your podcast called so everyone knows?
I have a podcast called Everybody Holds a Story with
Yeah.
my good friend Marsha Van Weinsberg, and we both have our own solo podcasts. Hers is Own Your Choices, Own Your Life, which is like
Amazing.
gonna
She's
hit,
like 600 and something episodes in. I love her
yeah, she'll hit
podcast. I love her and I
700.
love her podcast.
Yeah, honestly, editing her shows, and same with yours. I feel like this is like coaching and therapy just by editing. Like I feel so lucky.
Yeah.
So yeah, I usually have a couple shows to edit. Fridays are my hands-on days, so
Okay.
I try to stay off my computer.
Okay.
And it's just like in-person days. Because I just started back in January. Um, and I don't invite like my office is just my dirty office with a table set up. It's not
Mhm.
dirty, but like
Yeah, yeah. It's just like your
there's
own space. So you're
clutter.
bringing people into your own space. Is that something that you think about too? Is like,
Yeah, and I haven't done that before
yeah.
at all. So but I know that's gonna grow a bit in the summer because golf
Okay.
starts and
Yeah.
we're
Sue
big
is
golf.
golf obsessed. She is like and it's like I think I said in one podcast that I would never play golf, and you probably were laughing because you're like the golf queen. I don't know if you remember that, but like I've never played golf. I'm like, but I love and appreciate that people love the sport. Like people who love it are really into it. And that's that.
I didn't learn until I moved here. My husband made us move to this property on a golf course, and he's been golfing since he was a kid, and he's a really
Oh,
crappy
okay.
golfer. Like he's the best
Okay.
golfer I know.
Oh,
And Avelina and I started when we moved here, or he was like, I'm so glad you guys enjoy it because
yeah.
that was a huge race.
Well, that worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't give me shit. But no, because our daughter, she's really good. She's beating me now. And
Wow.
we were given or asked to run the junior golf program
So
at the
cool.
club. So I
Yeah.
taken on that task, and it's all volunteer, and I volunteer my time for the women's as well. So I just sort of threw myself in there because, we're not moving anytime soon. I know that business and clients will come from there. So I might as
Right.
well,
An organic networking opportunity.
they like me. They know where I live.
Yeah.
So
They can hunt you down because they can see you. But
yeah.
it's like all these I just love that a part of your career story is that you have a lot of almost random pieces, but they do somehow come together. And
Mhm.
it's like permission to have kind of a random career that's maybe a bit more piecemeal, but yet the pieces are forming like its own puzzle.
Oh, I love that you said that. I remember halfway through my career as a massage therapist, myofascial release therapist, thinking, I know I'm meant for more
Mm.
than this.
Mhm.
Like, this is wonderful. I
Mhm.
love knowing, having all the body knowledge and helping
Mhm.
people. And that's when I started, coaching. That's when I hired my first coach. I flew my massage table to Costa Rica for retreats.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I started writing in collaborative books, and then all of those pieces, I started my own podcast, and like all those pieces, I learned the back ends of them all.
Yeah.
So even like the event planning that I do at the golf course, I feel like if I hadn't gone to retreats or known what
Yeah.
events were, I wouldn't be
Uh-huh.
able to like run
Put them
them so
together.
well
Yeah,
here.
that's a whole world. Event planning is the whole skill set, science, the whole thing. It's like,
And I have that vision, like,
yeah,
of
yeah,
hosting a live in-person event soon, and I have the building in my backyard
yeah,
with anyway.
yeah.
So, now I'm at this point where I, have all of these skills, and I'm not getting bored of my work.
Mm, yeah, that's my not being bored is like a love language for me. I don't think it's a love language, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like it's just like that's definitely what I feel too. It's like I cannot be bored, and I feel
Yeah.
like and I don't know if we give ourselves I think there's a lot of people who hate being bored, but they figure they feel like so that they need to stick to just one thing and not be multidimensional. And I get you don't want to be fragmented. And I feel like sometimes I go too far and I go too much. But you, if that piece, if you need those different pieces, why not?
Yeah, and you'll never know unless you try
Yeah,
it.
I know.
So, when I got this microphone and was scraping the wallpaper in this house as I was a contractor, I was like, I'm gonna teach people about fascia on a podcast. I don't know anything about it, but let's just do it.
Yeah, I love that.
And I wouldn't have known and I wouldn't have learned. And I think it all comes back to education. So even with the
Mhm,
body piece,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
if you hadn't researched what you've done with your body and all that you've gone through, if I hadn't known or been in a class where my physiology teacher said to us, you have the ability to change your physiology, I wouldn't have walked home from a clinic after getting diagnosed with cervical cancer at 25 thinking that I could change this. But because I had that knowledge, I walked home and I was like, oh, okay, fuck that. Like,
And that's like
here
I
we
didn't
go.
know about that until we chatted at the beginning of this call about
Yeah.
being 25. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's young.
And I did it.
And you did
And
it.
I continue to, uh, for example, how you ditch the coffee,
Yeah.
I ditched the sugar.
Yeah.
So
Do you
I
not have
am
any sugar at all?
I am that I'll have a bit of fruit. Like, I
Okay.
love grapes and
Yeah.
berries,
Yeah.
but not every day at all. Like, it's literally like maybe once
Really?
a week.
Okay.
I am that girl that never eats the dessert.
Okay.
Um, I just so that type of like, well, sugar's poison, and we
Yeah.
know that
No,
now
it is.
for
Yeah.
for, increasing cancer and all of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
But
I definitely can't wait to dive into that in some shows. Although I do eat a little bit here and there, but yeah.
I do drink wine, so that is
Yes. I
that is
know.
sugar.
Okay.
But other than that, it's so funny. I'm
Still
like,
limited.
my sugar intake is fermented.
I always say that our bodies are meant to process toxins. Now, we don't want to overload it, but there is a certain amount that our bodies are able, like they're magical. They can process crap.
Mhm.
So we don't want to overload it, but yes.
Well, and we live in a society where it is overloaded, but that's another
Yeah.
topic is
Things
obsessed
we
with
can't
fast.
escape. Yeah.
Well, and I've become obsessed with fasting.
Yes. I
It
know that
just
you were doing fasting.
it like I can't wait to do it again. Every single time I'm like, I'm gonna go longer, I'm gonna go longer because it goes back to the disconnection.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you just disconnect from everything.
Right.
And you're literally just like lying there and your body is humming and it just feel like you can actually feel your cells regenerating
Yeah.
and
The autophagy, isn't that what it's called? Right.
oh
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll definitely probably maybe we'll do an episode just on your like fasting experiences because I know for some people that's something they want to learn more about, and it is kind of a hot topic right now.
it is. I can I'll send you the link to my podcast that I did on
Oh
it.
yeah, you just recorded an
Hello.
episode recently about that.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll put that in the
So
show notes too. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah. Because I know I'm gonna be going on more rants about it on my show.
I love a rant. I love a
That
good
was
rant.
yeah, that's just part one. So
This is just part one of many conversations with Sue, and yeah,
yeah.
you've just had a really interesting career, and you do a lot of good in the world, and you are supporting humans, which I
Yeah.
love. And that's what we're here for. So I want to ask you a question that I'm asking everyone now on this podcast.
Mhm.
So, in the spirit of helping people ditch the struggle, what do you feel is most important to commit to?
Can I have two things, but they're kind
You
of
can,
related?
yeah, you absolutely too. There's no rules.
Mhm.
I hate rules.
Breathing,
Okay.
like we discussed properly, fully, and sleep,
Hmm.
because sleep is the only time our bodies heal. And without our bodies, body and mind, like all together, if we are not functioning at a high capacity, then like what's the point? And like
Yeah.
we're not doing any good to ourselves or anyone around us. So those are like really top.
Okay. Breathing, sleeping.
I know it sounds
No, it's
so
the basics. No, it's
simple.
like, no, but this is what we're disconnected from. We're actually disconnected from the most important things and we're connected to the things that don't matter at all, is what's happening. It's like we've got it all ass backwards. And yeah, I've been having trouble with sleeping. So I'm very connected right now to like how can I optimize the sleep because it has such an effect the next day and we should be sleeping. Like it is the human's way to
Mhm.
regenerate all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Another thing we're not really taught.
Not taught. No, we're not. But sleep hygiene now is, I think, sort of becoming like a topic now that I'm seeing, just
Mhm.
like how to prepare yourself, how to get the most out of your sleep, and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as much as we're talking about disconnecting, we are very, very fortunate to have
Mhm.
information at our
Oh
fingertips.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so,
Yeah.
oh,
So let's disconnect from the things that don't matter, connect to the things that do matter, which is breathing, sleeping, and our bodies.
because without our bodies, we have nothing. We're not even here.
We're not even here. It's the only thing we own is our bodies. It's really the only thing we own.
No. Crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is crazy. I've just learned so much from you today, and I appreciate you so much, Sue.
Well, thanks for having me. And I know that this episode feels like a bit of everything. And
But that's what I love. This is
yeah.
literally what I love. I love that
And
about you, and that's what I love about, yeah, life. A little bit
yeah.
of
So
everything.
if any of your listeners or followers, like, feel free to connect with me. I am
What is the best way to connect with you, Sue?
email.
That's right. Get on our email list. We'll put the link to get on your email list because we might not be able to I otherwise.
Yeah, I actually made a link to join
Okay,
my email
perfect.
list.
Okay, we got it. We're going to put that in the show notes. It's going to be amazing. Connect with Sue, and you're in the London, Ontario area, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thanks so
Thank you.
much. And we will have part 2 soon. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.